Yeah, we're going to go over the stakes here as we approach each match,
Yep.
of course. Diamond
Yep.
a little more definitive than gold. We're not going to know who's at the top of gold after this match, but it does have tremendous implications either way. Wodar still has a number of unplayed matches and is actually not out of the race for first, let alone second, but they are going to pretty much have to win out to have any chance, and even that will be a bit of a small one. But this is probably their biggest hurdle, is taking down division leader Kotte. Kotte, on the other hand, really wants to come away with at least a point here, because if they lose outright, Shep will suddenly have the inner track for the first spot in gold after trailing most of the season. Shep started 1-2-1 and has reeled off 5 straight victories. And now he just needs a little help from Wodar to maybe take that first seed in gold.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how that first one goes with these picks and bans here. All right. So, Water bans gallery. Kotte bans balcony, which is very expected.
Gallery is the only thing Wodar has banned all season.
Yeah.
And he knows he's banned balcony. Kotte has built balcony a lot, and Wodar loves balcony. So that's just straightforward.
I mean, not everybody likes art, or specifically the the abstract art that gallery is known for.
Art in quotation marks, yes.
Yes. Wodar restricts nothing, sort of normal for Wodar. Kotte restricts veranda. I don't know if that's a common restriction or just something that Wodar likes.
Well, it's something that he's banned a couple times this season instead.
Yep.
So if he's already banning balcony instead in this case, and it makes sense because normally you don't have to ban or restrict both of those because not too many players like both. I'm probably one of the few. But with Wodar, he figures, well, if I'm already banning balcony, there's not a whole lot else I need to restrict. I don't think there was a lot of chance of Wodar picking that, but now there's no chance, probably.
Mm-hmm. All right. Anyhow, we got ourselves doubled Aquarium, thanks to Wodar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's been talking actually about all season about how he would like to play Aquarium and nobody's letting him. But Kotte says, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, go for it. We're gonna. I wonder if Wodar's been practicing any of these shenanigans. And Kotte going for the doubled ballroom.
All right.
The OG venue with many obstructions.
Yeah, one of the first new arts, the NAOG.
Yep. I mean, the first level period for SpyParty, the old original ballroom, which was just a rectangle
in a gray void of nothingness.
Yep.
Yes.
A gray rectangle and a gray void of nothingness. Yes.
Yeah, no, it was definitely gray and off gray. It was very colorful.
Mm-hmm. Checker got better. He started adding colors to some of the venues.
He also started adding artists that did the work for him. Yes. That was the big change.
That was a good idea. Anyhow, the Redwoods, the next double. So Wodar, going with a little theme here of occlusion.
Mm-hmm.
And then library, because everybody likes library.
If you say so.
You don't?
Not really.
No. Okay. I mean, I'm. Everybody who's tracking Hidden Cup players, keep that in mind.
Yep. No comment.
What would you rate library at out of 5? 1 being your favorite, 5 being the worst.
Oh, probably 3 or 4 in that context. Yeah.
Huh. You just don't like reading, or is it something to do with the actual venue?
Well, I do still have matches to play, so I think I'm gonna not answer that.
Okay. Anyhow, let's get going here. I do have the first game ready, assuming I can see it.
Time for some shenanigans.
Oh, there we go. Yep. All right, it is there and it is visible, and we have Alice as the first spy, and that is being played by Wodar. Assuming I have everything correct.
Let's get this thing underway. We've got Kotte on the sniper side. Let's get this started in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
This is such a big deal for Wodar. Again, has to win out to have much of a chance. He's still going to need a little help from Royal Flush, but really, this is important for Kotte. Kotte needs a point tonight, or Shep could actually steal this division with that 5-match winning streak he's had after that slow start.
Yeah, Wodar is still going to make the finals, but yeah, that would be pretty incredible. So, not the fastest start in the world. We've got 33% off the flirt at the windows and then back into an innocent conversation. Had some pretty interesting bouncing situations next to the ambassador really early on in the time of chaos, but decided not to have a go at anything from that.
And this is Wodar's first Aquarium game in SCL this season. He's wanted to play it for quite a while, and he finally gets his wish here near the end.
It's gonna be good. Very slow from Wodar so far. He really hasn't moved from this conversation since he's arrived here.
Well, I wonder if he's hanging out in that middle conversation waiting for that bug. This is sort of like those side angles on Tayen, where even if it doesn't look like you're doing anything right there, you're really just hanging out for when the ambassador comes by.
Double Agent drops in to say hi, and the immediate contact comes off. Now Wodar finally steps away looking for the next flirt. Not in the best angle for a reverse drive-by bug, but pretty close, just barely close enough, too. It's 66% after the second white flirt. That is, in fact, in range for 3.
Just barely. 233s, yeah. So just close enough as long as he gets a little closer for that next one or hits a green. But it's easy to imagine that one of those two things could end up being a little difficult.
Indeed, especially if he hangs out for the timer flirt. He does not hang out for the timer flirt. Indeed, he heads back to the bar.
And bar highlights coming out. And we are the only one at bar, too. So this might be hard to get away with.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to do anything with this delegate, but it's Wodar. You never know.
And you're breaking up the flirt at least, so you have an option.
Flirt is done. A nice close green. Only one of those two things were required, but we did get both.
Yeah, it's good for the ego, at least.
That is true. Minute and 15 seconds left to play, though, and we have 2 missions done. Delegate ready to go. That's probably ill-advised, and absolutely no other progress. This is not what you want to see.
No, but there's a minute left and it is Aquarium, and there goes that delegate, too, to our seduction target. I'm not sure this is quick enough, though.
In line before, this might not come off. It doesn't matter! Smallman was just a little bit too active that game, takes the bullet, and that's all it's gonna be.
Yeah, it looks like shot for potentially finishing fingerprint. And,
yeah, I was working out what happened. If you go to his first briefcase, it's a little odd, right around 310 or so. I mean, I would say it's AI odd, not spy odd, but it's just he goes,
fine line.
He starts returning it, he stops, he goes again, and then he kind of gets caught up for a little bit. He stops and starts again, and then he decides to settle in right next to the ambassador in a, in a very Smallman-ish way.
You're saying he did a lot of things, and he did them all while Smallman.
Yes.
You could get pulled over just for driving while Smallman, as a matter of fact.
And also, it's probably worth mentioning that final briefcase did not have a fingerprint on it, so he would not have been finishing there. But, who tracks fingerprint that closely?
Again,
Strong
no comments.
Start for Wodar, though.
Yeah, 1-0 Wodar.
Yep.
All right, and on to the second one. It's going to be Kotte on the spy side, Wodar on the sniper. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
You shoot Smallman, and no jury on Earth would convict you.
Again, possible time of chaos bugs that do not wind up occurring.
Well, you're going to get better chances is the main thing. It can work. It can absolutely work, especially if no one's expecting it, because who would do that? But I think in this case, better to play it straight.
First flirt comes off at the bar. Reasonably busy early bar situation, but not extremely so.
And bar highlights again. Both players going with the bar highlights specifically.
Seems to be popular on this venue. Man, Kotte's late to the party at this bar. Like, half of the party was in line before him, even though it didn't look that busy.
Yeah, and if you time it just right with the delegate so that a lot of those other highlights haven't decayed yet, you could get to the point where it's been a very long time since they came off, and they haven't gone back down to neutral if indeed Wodar plans to do that.
Print on the briefcase. So we've got Delegate, the one print, and the one flirt. We're way across this conversation from our seduction target, though. That's an odd little decision. Green test on the second flirt brings us up to 61%.
That's really rough. And the exact same character gets delegated to, as did last time.
Banana bread.
Seek.
There's fake contact coming off for distraction purposes. Smallman gets low lit. That could be huge. The Delegate comes off behind the shark.
Behind the shark, but we're not in mission win countdown. Interesting choice, by the way.
Look! Seek walked all the way to the statues behind the shark the entire time.
It looked like he was trying to hide out, but why would you do that so early in the game, too, right? It's not a mission win countdown thing, so it's a little weird, but it probably does look a little more spy-like than just staying there.
Doesn't matter. Wodar's on top of things. The shot comes off. And
Yeah.
it's 2-0.
Because here's the thing about the fake. You're not actually trying to get Seek shot, because Seek is picking up the drink while you're doing it. You're just trying to throw chaff in the air. You're just trying to sow chaos and hope that you get away with the purloin completely. Because obviously, at that point, I think Wodar knows it can't be Seek, didn't actually take the low light, but probably knows it can't be Seek, and therefore it can only be the person next to Seek.
Yeah, absolutely. That being said, Wodar, a little bit of an underdog in this game, one would say, but he is not looking like it so far. Very strong start from the man himself as we step into round 3 with Wodar on the spy, Kotte on the sniper, in 3, 2, 1, play.
Yeah, Aquarium is the great equalizer. Underdog or not, 2-0 early is a big deal.
3 at the bar to open up the festivities, all snuggled in right next to each other, able to get 50% on the flirt through another character.
And he just picked up a drink, by the way. He didn't choose to delegate. Just pointing that out
That's
because that's
interesting.
weird.
Yeah, it's very common to take a drink and a delegate and never use it, maybe with no intention of using it, but you almost always take it because there's no downside. By the way, we have the exact same seduction target as the previous game.
This is true.
I don't know if Wheel Seek is going to reach the heights of General Queen. I'm not sure if that's as compelling a pairing, meme-wise, but just something to keep an eye on.
It's not.
Give it some time. Give it some time.
Innocent conversation, though. Wodar once again playing things nice and slow.
Why not? It worked the first time.
Now stepping into conversation with the seduction target. Might be able to get a 2 flirt here if we can hit this green test. There it goes. It is, in fact, green, so that's the flirt done already.
That's really big. That really opens up your options here, especially if you decide you want to rush. And a little surprising from Wodar, who actually has a sub 40% green AT rate, which is a little low for the division.
Wodar does not want to rush, as we have seen throughout the rest of this game. He wants to take things nice and slow and do as little as possible until the sharknanigans occur.
Yeah, I think maybe whatever he didn't get a chance to do the first game might still be in the offing in this one, although the beginnings of it were probably visible on that replay.
It's likely that Kotte wasn't looking at the very last things Wodar was doing while he was lining up the shot on the replay. I'd say it's very much still on the cards. Wodar really just hanging out here. Minute and 45 seconds left to play, and he is moving as little as possible, which is not a bad strategy considering that we keep saying in the lower divisions that the less you are noticed, the better.
Yeah, and there are plenty of highlights, and there's a pretty good chance someone else is going to get shot, but it does kind of counteract the value of that 2 flirt. You're not really getting anything for it at this point.
Gets low lit for having the bar timer diminish. In conversation with the double agent now, though. Here comes the
bread.
contact. Oh, there was such an opportunity for a reverse drive-by bug there. Did not take it. Minute and 5 left to play. Might be able to get him on the way back, though.
Yeah, we're not going to have much cover, though. It's going to be top shark. Here comes the Amba.
Oh, hello.
We want to time this to the idle, if we can, but we only have a couple seconds.
Oh, the moves! What was that?
Wow, that was barely visible at the end. Really good timing. We might pick up a highlight. We do. But is it for the fingerprint or the
Flashed
bug?
on the safety for a moment there. Nope, just decides he's going to take the shot after all. That was such a sweet bug. The wrong arm as he turns around was almost invisible, but just barely saw enough of it.
Yeah, but look at this. The shot comes off 13 seconds after the bug. It comes off 7 seconds after the fingerprint. That shot is for the fingerprint, I think. Maybe the bug is suspected, but if you're thinking, what are they actually finishing with? They haven't been to statues yet. I think they're thinking, I'm worried I missed a print, so this could be the finish.
I think you may be right.
Really good bug, really good shot.
I mean, I'm not sure if Kotte really notices, but I mean, you can see his elbow
Yep,
popping out there. I mean, that's unfortunately Wheel's not known for having a particularly good bugging animation of any kind. But I mean, it would have been a really subtle thing to catch, but it was catchable.
It was, but again, 10 seconds passed. So I think at minimum, they had a really good mission count and knew the bug couldn't have been the last thing. But when they realized there was a print on the book, they thought, well, it's very possible I missed something. If that is if that's what went through Kotte's mind, it's very good sniping through and through.
And that puts Wodar only up 2-1. Kotte starting to claw his way back and has a chance to tie things up from the spy side. Wodar on the sniper on the last game of Aquarium in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Normally getting that spy win and sniping to go up 3-1 on your doubled venue pick would be great, but it's Aquarium, so that sniper game is not the kind of foregone conclusion it would normally be.
Kotte's sort of glancing back and forth between the seduction target at the bar and the double agent in the front conversation. Currently, just sort of hanging out in the middle of an innocent conversation without really much to do. Slow start.
Well, the seduction target was at bar, and now they've gone to windows, so really, if you're waiting for them to settle, no wonder you've had to go do something else in the meantime.
Like you might have been lining up a bug there, but could just as easily have just wanted the print. And is going to call it a day after that.
Look at this, though.
Luckily, seduction target joins in the fun, so that's a free 34% on the flirt to go with our fingerprint off the green bookcase.
Yeah, that looks really good. And just a tiny little thing, too. The seduction target might have a difficult. And the seduction target, of course, one of the party goers you can manipulate a little bit if they do become a suspect. And they do already have a bar highlight, and they have been moving around a lot. So that's something to keep an eye on.
And off to statues, which is something that hasn't happened yet tonight. Pair of inspects before that goes back down. Just under 2.5 minutes to play. And the double agent decides to be kind. Lots of people at bar, though, so we probably can't take it yet.
No, all the people with colored arrows on their heads are helping us out quite a bit.
Back into bar we go, looking for the second flirt. Hits it on a white test, up to 58%.
Ooh, tricky percentage. The first one was free, at least, but now we're going to need that green, and we do have 2 minutes left. But look at all this partial mission progress.
There's still time. Picking up a delegate and a drink from the bar. Into conversation we go with the double agent who bails, so we bail too. Out to the front windows is where we wind up.
I think you want to go flirt here because if it's not a green, you still have plenty of time to find an innocuous flirt later.
Agreed. Might be able to get the bug off behind the shark as well. Kotte not going for it. Goes window to window, trying to figure out his next play. Just under 1.5 minutes now.
It almost looks like we want to get rid of this drink before we approach the ambassador, but we've still got a sip left.
It's going to be the back statues to finish up the inspects. We don't have any completions yet. This is going to be the first one.
And it is late enough that we're probably going to be watched for this swap, especially with the inspect complete going on already. But it's been a silent game too. But the top shark is across, so we're going to get some attention here, I would imagine.
Either way, nothing is going to be seen in regards to that statue.
Big AT coming up.
Conversation with the seduction target. It's a red test.
Oh, the one thing we didn't want. Unless, of course, this actually gets cane shot for going to statues instead, but still, that's not a chance you want to take. That is really rough for Kotte, and suddenly this game's falling apart.
Second fingerprint off of the briefcase, but that's only the second mission completion. Under 30 seconds now.
We're being watched. We're being watched. I don't think we want to bug here.
Does not bug. This is going to be the contact coming off, but with 15 seconds to play, where's the last mission going to come from? There's the contact. There's the shot. It's not enough. Wodar goes up 3-1.
We're just assuming the bug. We're probably assuming the seduce. All we know is that Seek rushed in, has fingerprint, has 3 inspects, and was talking quickly after. Didn't even need to wait for the bail to take that shot.
Yeah, that was... Man, the sniping has been pretty strong.
Yeah, not bad. I mean, a couple civ shots, but they were understandable at least. And that 2-0 lead, right back to 2-2. It's as if it never happened. We're going to start right over, deadlocked, going into Kotte's doubled venue.
Is it 2-2?
I'm sorry, 3-1. Yeah, my apologies. 3-1. And Wodar, I'm a little surprised. I can't tell if that's a strong shot or if it's sort of a, just white BB is enough. Because they shot before the bail. They shot before the bail is what's really
You're saying that
noting.
was like a really high-level Wodar shot?
I don't know. I mean, it really depends on how onto them they were for the fingerprint. If they're onto them for the fingerprint, that's very different than just real BB plus inspects, right? Which is also a shot you will see on Aquarium. It's treated like a 3-7 sometimes.
Kinda has to be with that shark.
Yeah, certainly. So that's an understandable thing if so, but whether or not the fingerprint was specifically noted actually changes the psychology of that shot quite a bit.
And back we go into the ballroom this time. Wodar up by 2 after his doubled map, finds himself on the spy side, Kotte on the sniper, in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
And Wodar may not have picked Ballroom, but generally perfectly fine with it. Hasn't banned it at all this season, hasn't really picked it either, but has played a lot of Ballroom over the years and does fine on it.
34% off the flirt to start off the game. Not going too crazy off the top, playing it more or less by the books. I remember back when Wodar used to have one of the most insane and unpredictable spy games ever, and now he's just really slow, really patient, really solid. It's very interesting to see the progression.
Yeah, well, tougher opponents, that's part of it, probably. It's out of necessity. And reflecting that, their mission choice on Ballroom is pretty standard. Contact, seduce, inspect, and bug. And that is generally the order you see it. Purloin pretty frequent too, but a little less. If you have to pick one, bug is usually better if you can get a good one.
Another white flirt sees us at 60%, so it is going to have to be a green test if we want the 3. Oh, just as the flirt cooldown expires too. I think Wodar was going for a double timer flirt there, but just barely doesn't happen.
Yeah, it's a real bummer to invest that amount of time and not even get it, especially because we can't guarantee this is going to finish with a close white now.
And loses the briefcase race, doesn't quite get that perfect redirect, but it was close enough that it's not going to be noticed.
Yeah, pretty good. And again, at least it's your seduction target doing things. That is the next best thing to doing them yourself.
But look at how little progress we have. Has to take a purloin, and it is a white one.
But is Kotte confident that they saw the fade and that they didn't miss any rejects beforehand?
I don't think he has to be. I think as long as he plays this smart and only takes the information he knows he has, that's going to be all his needs. That being said, with the fake contact coming off, all we really got out of that was a highlight on Wodar. So I suspect Wodar is in a very, very, very bad spot right now.
And probably 2 existing highlights, by the way, knocked out by the BB, but as you mentioned, clearly fake. So we are really selling this right now, especially because Smallman was in with a possible real banana bread there.
Into conversation for the flirt, does hit it in 3, but with 30 seconds left to play, can we get 2 more missions done? Probably not. Now okay, well, it doesn't matter, I guess, because Kotte's very good at this game.
Well, we were watching so closely after that, probably assuming it's general and actually counting the sips so that the gulp actually leads to the shot. I feel like at that point, if we noticed the actual sips, we were already tunneling so hard that there was no way we were going to complete missions.
Yeah. Well, I'm pretty sure the shot came before the drink disappeared, so Kotte wouldn't have known it was a gulp.
No, I guess you're right. But I'm trying to figure out what it is
more
then.
Or less.
There's a stop talk, but I'm not sure it's incorrect.
I mean, I don't know either. I think it's technically within the 10 seconds after the flirt, though, so maybe it was just that. I don't know how Wodar could be done with missions, but maybe...
We did get interrupted there by Red Dress.
Yeah.
So it's a perfectly valid stop talk. But the thing is, very often it's not noticed whether or not a stop talk is valid. All it does is get someone's attention.
I mean, it could be that Kotte was... I mean, so the shot does technically come off right after the drink disappears, but I mean, maybe Kotte was just so ready for that gulp. I don't know.
Who knows? Either way, clearly being tunneled. But the thing is, obviously Purloin is the catalyst there.
Yeah.
What we're trying to dissect is the timing, because that always tells you something about the sniper's mindset.
Yeah, because I mean, if it was just for the Purloin, then you would have been shot.
You would have just shot for the Purloin.
You would have just been dead already.
It's also very easy.
It might have been that the sip itself was poorly timed.
It's hard to say because, honestly, when you time the general sips fine, they still look like a break. I'm not kidding. They really do. And it might have been a little off, but honestly, it looks close to normal for me. Because it was a stop talk into a sip, too, as well. So I think maybe that's the problem there. But I think you need the full idle afterwards. Either way, Purloin mostly. And then we're just waiting, itching for any reason to shoot afterwards.
Yeah, that's what it seemed like. Either way, Kotte, very good at this game. Now on the spy side, as Wodar picks up the rifle in 3, 2, 1, playing it. This is not a pad, but we don't care because it looks like a pad.
Totally fine. Totally fine. Kotte has played a lot of Ballroom games, probably why they picked it, and bugs at a pretty high rate, more than Inspecs even. So that's what I'm going to be looking out for, especially with a character with a good walking bug like Green Dress here.
That is very true. What is this highlight for?
The vagaries of Wodar Sniper.
Fair enough. Well, in the conversation we go with the seduction target. Picks up a nice quick 34% off of the close white flirt. And immediately seduction target steps away.
I will say there was a brief moment of no talking in that conversation. Twin was grabbing a drink and Kotte was not talking.
I think that's normal while they drink grab, but I don't know. Let me see. When did this highlight come off? It came off just when the drink grab happened, by the way. It's entirely possible we got highlight for idling. Wouldn't put it past him.
In conversation with the double agent. Contact does, in fact, come off. Lots of people start walking in the meantime. I think it's just one low light and one highlight.
And look at this. Look at these highlights here now. Look at these lights. 4 low lights, I think it is now.
And the only 3 people highlight are the ones with the real contacts.
Yep, that is just really good sniping right there, if that is indeed what's happening.
Green test on the second flirt brings us up to 80%, so we won't have to worry about positioning on the last one. Looks like we're just gonna hang out here, wait for the timer flirt. Seduction target's not having it though, so Kotte's gonna have to do something. Immediately steps away, going for the bug across. Little bit of cover from the pillar. Very nice to see, and it looks like Wodar didn't.
There is the walking bug that we were talking about. I feel like we were waiting for an opportunity there all game, and Wodar Their laser snapped over. Maybe it's as if to confirm side statue. If we go back, though, I think that could prompt a shot, as good as that bug was.
Only picked up one inspect from it. That kind of tells you that he was only at the statue as an excuse to bug the ambassador.
Well, maybe
That's
so,
just
but if
where
that's...
he had to wind up.
Well, if that's the case, what do we finish with? Is it Purloined Flirt? That might be riskier than a statue visit, but look at how, because of this is narrowed down because of the contact, though, it's going to be really hard to not look really suspicious, even with statues, even if the bug isn't even really suspected.
Under 30 seconds, there's the last flirt coming off. Ooh, Toby's here. I think it might be...
I don't think there's room behind us to offer, is there?
This is a problem. 13 seconds, it's going to be overtime no matter what it is now. Away
Can't bug
we
again.
go.
What are we doing?
Play? What's happening?
You can't request a drink in time. You can't request a drink in time. I don't know what we were doing.
That had to have been some sort of frame attempt, right?
I don't see how. I think it maybe took us too long to realize that we couldn't be offered a drink where we were. And once we moved, we didn't really think about how little time we had to take another spot immediately. I don't know if we were going to survive another statue visit, but my gut says that we probably were, and that at the least it was going to force a very difficult shot, because I don't think that bug was suspected.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think Kotte had that game on lock and threw it away just because he didn't notice his positioning was untobiable.
Untobiable, and decided not to go to statues at all, for that matter.
I think
don't know.
intobiable is probably more grammatically correct, but into the next one we go. Wodar on the spy with a 4-2 lead. Kotte on the sniper in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
It's important that we have proper grammar with our completely made-up words.
Yes.
No doubt about it. Wodar is wheels again.
Indeed he is. It's like Budget Smallman.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you can hide in the back of conversations with the purloin and you don't get the kneel down on the purloin, so it can be particularly good for that.
In conversation for the first flirt. Nice quick green test. Brings us up to 51%.
Really can't overstate, by the way, how big that game was. If they did get away with the bug, that would have tied it up at 3. Instead, it's 4-2, and Wodar maintains their advantage. It's a really, really big swing, that last game.
Yeah, that could be a huge difference maker. But now that the section target has stepped away, Wodar finds himself in an innocent conversation. And knowing Wodar, he's probably gonna just hang out here for a little while.
I'll remind you that Kotte, after this match, and Shep both have a match against Royal Flush left over. Both have beaten Royal Flush before and will be heavy favorites going into it. So there's a really good chance that if Kotte gets a point here, they're probably going to take the top spot in gold. And if they don't, though, Shep will hold that tiebreak should they both defeat Flush later on. This is a very big match.
Like path into the conversation as we pick up a contact and a flirt. So 2 missions done at this point.
I think this is what Wodar did before, too. Just did the 2 Softails, the contact and the seduce. It was about a minute and a half left on Aquarium the first time. Looks like we're not going to wait around this time, though.
Yeah, into center statues we go. Wodar picking up the pace. Too many white tests.
Two white tests. I mentioned that 38% AT rate, and it's going to force us to put this back without finishing inspects.
Well, I mean, Ponytail was still holding the dang thing anyways, so...
That's very unfortunate.
Minute and 15 left to play. Wodar goes back for the last one. Same statue he was at before.
Well, at least you could lose a little heat for that potentially. If Ponytail wasn't noticed, and she might not be because she was a lowlight. Whoa!
The swap!
It's held up. It's still covered. It's still covered.
He held it up, but there were too many people in the way.
There's a pillar and a head, and they both block the swap.
Oh my god, that was the luckiest Lion King I've ever seen.
Yeah, normally that's the one pose you don't want. For those who don't know, the spy can hold the statue to the left, to the right, or up above their head when they're holding it, and you have no control over it. You have no control at all. 90% of the time when you're swapping, the one you don't want is high up in the air, the Lion King, as you called it, Tobo. In this case, though, it actually worked out beautifully, partially because we have a shorter character, and Kotte was not protecting against it, and it cost them a huge game on Ballroom.
There is a slight moment where you can just barely see that it's changed, but
Right,
if Kotte
right.
really wanted to get a look at
Yeah.
that, he could.
Oh yeah, no,
I mean,
it's
yeah,
not.
well, obviously, yeah. So like, yeah, obviously, let's look at the. I mean,
It's
it could
not
be
occluded.
anywhere.
It's not
Yeah.
occluded. Here's the thing:
It's
if you're
just-
guarding it properly, you catch it, and you catch it almost no matter where it is. But we're not
Yeah.
guarding it properly. However, even if you're not guarding it properly, it can be more or less visible without trying to look very hard. In this case, it was not especially visible without looking closely.
And that puts Wodar at 5. And on the sniper side, Kotte on the spy needing to fight back quite a bit. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
That is so huge, and now Wodar is absolutely in the driver's seat, has a chance to wreck what looked like Kotte was going to coast to victory in gold with that start from Shep and the strong start on their end. But now, again, Shep has won 5 in a row. If Kotte loses this match, Shep could absolutely steal that top spot.
34% on the first flirt. Leaves the conversation, leaves Toby looking forlornly after him. Lots of movement here without actually going anywhere useful.
Yeah, we are aggressively, noticeably idling, and we've seen Wodar play with the lights early in the game, highlights, lowlights, whatever. So I don't think it's a bad decision. I think you can get low lit for that sort of thing, potentially.
Second flirt comes off. This one's green, brings us up to 83%.
By the way, chat going nuts about the Lion King song. Let me just tell you, look up the translation to those lyrics. They are, let's just say, simplistic. You'll thank me later.
Now I'm not going to think about anything else for the rest of the cast. I'm so heckin' curious.
It's literally something like, look, it's a lion. Here comes the lion. Look, it's a lion. I'm not even kidding. And we can talk about this because Kotte hasn't really done that much. Yeah?
He's got a blue book in hand. He's putting the blue book back again. All we have are those 2 flirts right now. 1:45 left to play. Doesn't go for the last flirt.
And we heard that magic percentage of 83, which means even the worst flirt possible, 17%, will get it done. But that's only if we try. And there's no fingerprint on that case. We are, if we're trying for a low light, at a certain point you have to convert that into action, right, and cash it in.
I don't know. He might just be trying to make sure he's not going to get shot and trying to make sure someone else does. Under a minute to play now. Out we go to center statues. We still don't have this last flirt, though. There's a print here.
Yep,
So
finally.
that could be something late in the game.
If that case had had one, we'd actually be suddenly in great shape.
It's very true. Ambassadors is still putting his hands on stuff, though. Okay, here comes the last flirt. This is finally happening. We're not going to have enough time to get to all the mission sites. There's the flirt done.
Uh-oh. I mean, we can purloin this time from where we
It is
are.
a purloin. It is a purloin. It's a green purloin. Are we going to statues for the last inspect? Yes, we are. We're not going to take the last fingerprint.
Well, we just don't know if that case is going down or not is the main problem. So we have no choice. But purloin into statues is such a spy move. Reject from Leopard, too.
There's
This
the
is still hanging.
inspect. It's hanging. That might have just saved him because it was safety off on him for a second there. No, I think he still wants to shoot him. Yep, there's the shot coming off. And
I
what
really-
are...
Mm-hmm.
gets himself on match point.
I think he might have been lining up the shot on Twin. I think if we'd gone to OT right away, that might have been what happened. Because when the OT actually happened, he didn't snap right over to Salmon. If you look at the replay here, it looks like he was a little worried about Twin. I'm not sure if he thinks it's a bug or something else or walking after Purloin. It looks like he's following Twin, yeah. And then it hits 0. He's waiting for the OT. The OT does not take place, so then he narrows it down. It can only be a couple different things. And when the OT does start, there's sort of like a double take, a little bit of a shake maybe even. And I think we just suss out, well, I guess it's more likely to be Salmon. But I don't think we were really on to Salmon for the Purloin. I think we shot based on timing there.
Yeah, do we think
I
it could have
been correct?
I mean, but what could it have been though? Would it have been a swap?
It doesn't even matter. All you know is there's OT and you're looking for the timing. But I don't see any indication that the Purloin was actually seen.
Yeah. I mean, maybe it was just assumed. I don't know. Because I don't know what else would cause that clock to hang that would make you shoot. Salmon there.
I mean, sometimes you don't. But I think, at that point, you're like, it can only be a few things. And the funny thing is, in that situation, you could almost say, I don't even know. I'm not even processing the exact mechanics of what's happened. But based on the timing alone, I feel like it has to be this person, and I know it's OT, so I have to shoot. And it just so happens that when the beep started, our laser was already on top of this very tall, glowing man, and we probably just ruled out Twin, our top suspect. So at that point, even if it might not be the highest percentage shot in the world, it could still make sense.
Yeah, sometimes you just gotta shoot the tall, glowing man.
It's my first strategy. Forget all the research. That's all you got to do. Or the really short glowing man. One of those two. No one average height is all we know.
All right, Wodar finds himself on match point with 4 of them to play with, starting things out on the spy side of Redwoods. Kotte with a long journey back into this match in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Sometimes matches just feel preordained. The fact that happened the way it did and Wodar managed to win anyway without really being quite sure what had happened, it's just everything's coming up well in addition to some solid play, and that's why Kotte's in the hole that they're in.
If Wodar can make this happen, that one game that Kotte had and threw away might not be that big of a difference.
Yeah, except insofar as you think, momentum is a thing, maybe tilting is a thing. I don't see too much indication of that on the spy side, although the tentativeness in those 2 ballroom games might suggest otherwise. Hard to say.
Wodar starts things out at the bar and is able to pick up 34% on the flirt as well, as he's joined by his seduction target after the fact. Now we find ourselves in this middle conversation here, sort of staring down the ambassador with itchy fingers, but nowhere to put him.
We did get a green timeout early in the game, and that could come in handy later. And by the way, bar highlights still might not sound like much because we saw them on Aquarium earlier, but frankly, you'll see a lot of people who do bar highlights on one venue but not another. So it's interesting that they're happening again here on Redwoods.
And Wodar going back to this very slow, methodical, idle for a while and then make it happen at the end sort of play.
Well, it's been working pretty well, and we're on Redwoods, and you've got 4 match points, so I've got nothing against it.
Yeah, absolutely. Picking up a print fairly early on, which is a little bit of a break of form, but, I mean, may as well at this point.
A lot of printing going on. I'm not sure it's really worked out for the Spies very much so far, though, but they're going to keep trying.
That is true. Now stepping in for this second flirt. Another white test brings us up to 68%, so we're going to have to get pretty close on the last one as well, just in case we don't hit that green. I think Wodar. Oh dear. Everything's fine. That did not even look like a pad, but from the sniper's angle, it actually did look like a pad. There's the contact coming off.
Well, we're actually in pretty good shape suddenly now that we hit the contact and we already have the print and we're going back into
I think
bar.
there's a difficult print here.
This would be big.
Takes the purloin straight up.
And
And it wasn't a difficult print, it was a regular print.
so we were just going to win. We were already in mission win countdown.
It was, yeah. Wodar just absolutely bamboozled the hell out of Kotte at the end of that one.
Well, Smallman with the assist, certainly. And it's not just a win, it's a definitive win against the division leader in Kotte. And that is absolutely huge. Wodar technically can still make the top two. He's going to need to sweep the rest of his matches and hope Royal Flush takes some points off Kotte and Shep. But the really big thing now is that Shep has the tiebreak, the first head-to-head tiebreak over Kotte, and now they both have one match remaining against Flush. They'll both be significant favorites. If they both beat Flush, Shep will have swiped first place in gold from Kotte. Either way, though, unless Wodar goes nuts and Flush takes some points, it's still going to be those two in some order. But with Shep having that advantage over Kotte going into the finals, playing for what will be the final postseason